Now I will record the video with the pencil in my mouth. I from the book Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. It was a generous gesture, but while I was so focused on becoming the very best version of myself, his glitz didn't impress me. In my mind, I still had not achieved shit. If anything, staying in his house only inflated the chip on my shoulder. He would never have invited my wannabe thug ass to come chill with him in Kona luxury back in the day. He only reached out because I had become somebody a rich guy like him wanted to know. Still, I appreciated being able to show my mom a better life, and whenever I was offered a taste, I invited her to experience it with me. She had swallowed more pain than anyone I had ever known, and I wanted to remind her that we had climbed out of that gutter while I kept my own gaze locked at sewer level. We didn't live in that $7 a month place in Brazil anymore, but I was still paying rent on that motherfucker and will be for the rest of my life. The race launched from the beach beside the pier in downtown Kona, the same start line as the Ironman World Championship, but there was not much of a crowd for our race. There were only 30 athletes in the entire field compared to over 1200 in the Ironman. It was such a small group I could look every one of my competitors in the eye and size them up, which is how I noticed the hardest man on the beach. I never did catch his name, but I will always remember him because he was in a wheelchair. Talk about hurt. That man had a presence beyond his stature. He was fucking immense. Ever since I had started with birds, I had been in search of people like that. Men and women with an uncommon way of thinking. One thing that surprised me about military special operations was that some of the guys lived so mainstream. They were not trying to push themselves every day of their lives, and I wanted to be around people who thought and trained uncommon 24 by 7, not just when duty called. That man had every excuse in the world to be at home, but he was ready to do one of the hardest stage races in the world, something 99.9% of the public would not even consider, and with just his two arms. To me, he was what ultra racing was all about, and it's why, after Badwater, I had become hooked on this world. Talent was not required for this sport, it was all about heart and hard work. And it delivered relentless challenge after relentless challenge, always demanding more. But that doesn't mean I was well prepared for this race. I still didn't own a bike. I borrowed one 3 weeks earlier from another friend. It was a Griffin, an uber high end bicycle custom made for my friend who was even bigger than I was. I borrowed his clip in shoes too, which were just shy of clown sized. I filled the empty space with thick socks and compression tape and didn't take the time to learn bike mechanics before leaving for Kona. Changing tires, fixing chains and spokes, all the stuff I know how to do now, I had not learned yet. I just borrowed the bike and logged over 1000 miles in the 3 weeks prior to Ultraman. I had wake up at 4 a.m. and get 100 miles rides in before work. On weekends, I would ride 125 miles, get off the bike, and run a marathon. But I only did 6 training swims, just two in the open water, and in the ultra octagon, all your weaknesses are revealed. The 10-kilometer swim should have taken me about 2.5 hours to complete, but it took me over three, and it hurt. I was dressed in a sleeveless sweatshirt for buoyancy, but it was too tight under my arms, and within 30 minutes my armpits began to cough. An hour later, the salty edge of my sweat had become sandpaper that ripped my skin with every stroke. I switched from freestyle to side stroke and back again, desperate for comfort that never came. Every revolution of my arms cut my skin raw and bloody on both sides. That's it for the day. That's it for the day. That's it for the day.